perhaps by March.
Congressman Trey Gowdy is on the House Committee on Government Oversight and Reform. Welcome, Congressman. Good to see you this evening.
Good evening, Your Honor. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. When Attorney General Holder said that he would probably bring charges by March, against whom and what charges?
Well, I assume he's talking about murder charges related to the death of Brian Terry.
But two people have already been indicted.
Well, there may be others. He's certainly not talking about charges within the Department of Justice, and he's not talking about the straw purchasers. They were indicted several months ago. So the only thing I can think of would be others that may have aided and abetted or been complicit in the murder of Brian Terry.
And, you know, Congressman, it's interesting because it has been 14 months since Brian Terry's death. There was a federal indictment for murder, and yet the case still hasn't come to trial. Congressman, you were a sitting DA, as was I. You were a United States attorney. Number one, have you ever heard of a whole file being sealed? And number two, 14 months to take a regular murder trial case to trial?
No and no would be the answers to those two questions. You know, there's a speedy trial clock in federal court. You have to try it within 70 days or get permission from the court to do otherwise. I want him to do a phenomenal job with whoever murdered Brian Terry. I also think it's important for him to not use that prosecution, which we all support, as some kind of subterfuge for not answering our questions when it comes to Fast and Furious.
All right. Now, what came out this week, Congressman, was that there were wiretaps apparently on March 15th, federal prosecutors assigned in Washington. What does this tell you? I mean, doesn't it tell you that justice in Washington knew?
Well, it is the single best piece of evidence, Judge, that we have that they knew, because as you know, with wiretap applications, they are wordy, they are lengthy, they are detailed. And Main Justice in Washington has to approve these Arizona wiretap applications. What the Attorney General also knows is that Chairman Issa and myself and no one else on the Oversight Committee can have access to those wiretap applications. They're under seal. I would be willing to bet you whatever you want to bet that if you and I could get our hands on those wiretap applications, it would be crystal clear to the reader that gun walking was the tactic, which is one reason they will never turn it over to us.
Without a doubt, Congressman, I am totally with you. Congressman Gowdy, thanks so much for being with us this evening. And the numbers are not on their side. Why are Ron Paul and Rick Santorum still in the